And now it's time for Anambra Decides conversation this morning. And I have with me Barry Kumo Ado. Good morning, Barry.
Good morning, Uche. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
I think you should be very well, thank you, because given the fact that you know a bit more about Anambra State than you've been telling us before.
Wow, how do I know that?
We won't get into history, knowing that today about 2.8 million voters will go to the polls.
Of course.
Expectedly. Unfortunately, Anambra State is known for one of those states that the voter turnout is
usually low.
Very, very low.
Yeah.
Not usually low. But good thing, we have someone with us.
Yes, we do.
That will dive deep into it, and we can have that conversation formally, not only about the voters, but other issues. One thing we look forward to in this election is that change. There's this talk about new broom sweeping cleanest. We'll put that to test.
Yeah, all of that. We'll dissect and discuss all of that this morning. Well, we have in the studio with us Chief Ifeanyi Okonkwo. He's a political analyst and is also a politician to talk on Anambra State election today. You're very much welcome. Good morning.
It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Welcome. Anambra State is your forte. It's not just because you are from Anambra State, but because you live and breathe Anambra State. As a progressive Anambra State, that's what you've been doing over the years. Would you share your thoughts about this election?
Well, this election is just like every other election. I have a credential that I can speak on Anambra election because I have been a pioneer participant from the time of the new breed politics up till now. Anambra is a special place. The special place designated for Anambra is predicated on three main elements. One, individualism of the culture of the people. Anambra is a place where people independently do very well, but they are not a team, they don't have team spirit. Two, Anambra has been independent provider of social and economic infrastructure for the citizens. Road building, provision of water, creating avenues for enhancing the distribution of economic gains to the citizens, not downtrodden people, but the citizens. More particularly, we are a people who are self-mobilized. Anambra do not understand government because we believe in independent struggle and contributions. They don't know that government can do much more. And we spend more time in religion, thinking that where the salvation will come. So I'm giving you a skeletal analysis of the community where I come from, without prejudice.
Very happy.
So what would you say is really at stake for Anambra in this election?
There's nothing at stake. I told you, Anambra people do not understand politics. If they understand politics, there will be so many things at stake. One, the services that government provide, the protection, the demand on the system by the citizens are not there. If the citizens are not aware of the responsibilities of government and the opportunity for them to make demand on the system, they look at government as a representative gesture, that you have to be there. More so, democracy in Anambra State is limping on one foot because there are some impediments to selection process and recruitment of those who will serve. There's one issue they have introduced which they call zoning. So how do you talk about democracy when you inhibit excellence? So these are some of the issues. We don't make demand on the system. So Anambra feel that, well, it's our turn or it is this zone's turn. They look at government as a chieftaincy stool where you have to become an Ozo title member. They don't know that they're much more about governance, mobilization of the citizens, creating focus and philosophy of development in the community. So there's nothing at stake. People are just watching television. Because if there are things at stake, look at the political parties and their candidates. What are the issues? They go around dancing around there, organizing rallies. What is the program of the government? What are we contesting? The budgeting system we ran for the last 4 years ought to be scrutinized on a microscopic level. Education, what accrues to each local constituency like the various parishes. How much, we have 21 local governments, how much government investment have trickled down in these provinces? Nobody talks about accountability, rule of law. So it's all our turn. So there's nothing challenging.
It's sometimes difficult to accept such a scenario, given that Anambra has some people that would go with a tag, well-read, well-enlightened, even in terms of politics. So my fear is that when you come down to the community level, people sit down to plan for the infrastructure you said government is not giving. So why is there a gap? Why don't we have that same translation into governance?
The entire thing trickles down from the national philosophy of leadership. We have a president. What is his philosophy of governance? Where does he want to take Nigeria to? Is it GTP, GDP, GDP, or reorientating the people to understand that the instrument of governance is what will create good citizens? The philosophy of the leader is what you see. It's not building roads. Infrastructural development, and nobody questions them. So the issue is not degrees or going to university, but you must understand social engineering and be interested in developing. You don't go and say you have PhD and you have stopped learning. Education continues to be buried. So we need philosophers, we need men and women who will sit down, just like the formula we use, what we call the Omona system in our local parishes. In as much as it's discriminatory because it removes the greater percentage of the population, the women. That Omona system is where they draw programs from childbirth to burial. And they create the norms. And they have the local industry we have is the marketplace. The women will go and sweep the market, and the men, when we started growing, we now wanted the culture of having a town hall. It's only in the Anambra, within the vicinity of the Igbo state, that we talk about town halls. It's not a philosophy in any other clime. And now they talk about how to contribute money to build it, mobilizing social and economic re-engineering in the grassroots. But they don't talk about politics. They don't talk about leadership. They don't talk about voting. What is our interest in an election? Is it that our son is running? Is it that there's a program which will benefit the community that any of the political parties is promoting? It's bereft of all these things. So, because for you to be a leader, you must endear yourself to the people. You must be a fellow, you must be a dreamer. That dream is what you set out to the people. You talk about apathy. The woman has one basic cultural philosophy. You must attend personally to him. You must tell him. You consult him. So you don't mobilize them in the marketplace. No, that's American way of doing political business. You must find time to knock at the doors and tell them what is in there for them and what is the program. In my own community, individuals are building roads while the local government are misappropriating the funds of the people. There's nothing to show. And you are telling me you want to go and vote. There's nothing to make you create opportunity to demand. The cost systems are not working so that you can make demands on the system. The constitution and civics has to be taught to the people so that the people will be armed with the instruments of democracy.
So now, how would you describe the mood of the voters, you know, for this particular election, and what do you envision the turnout to be like?
I have told you why the chemistry is bad. The enthusiasm is not there. I gave you a history.
Will it translate to today as well? That's what I'm asking.
That's what I'm telling you. Who are the political actors? How do you recruit people? For example, can you tell me in each of the local governments who are the members of the major political parties that are in this contest? They have no number. Because if you know that I come from Idemili South, that in Idemili South, SDP has 2,000 members distributed according to the communities in that. You already know the strength of the political party. Then they must go out now to engage the citizens who are not partisan. It's from partisan perspective that you now move to the non-partisan. There's nothing like that. All the party does is wear uniform and run around. That's nothing. So everybody, Anambra people feel is degrading to classify them into people you just come and give them uniform and rally them around and give them money to come to a rally. If you come to a rally, for example, you are visiting a local government, what is the number of primary schools, secondary schools, those who are the professional people that the government must now energize? Who are the men and women in the community that this government must listen to know what the needs of the community? We have a ravaging problem with erosion. But do you see, there's no intellectual content. So it's difficult that those of our people who are enlightened must deploy their knowledge for mobilization, not necessarily for running for political office, but to educate the people, engineer how to make demand on the system, take the government and public officers to court. If you don't do that, democracy is not vibrant.
Democracy is not vibrant. But Anambra is a state that has a buzzword I just heard of recently. It is called structure owners, where somebody invests money and expects that if you want to run for an election from councillorship to any position within the state, you should have a conversation with them. You have a deal with them, and they would organize, because you were asking in a particular senatorial zone, for example, how many people can't carry members of a particular party. But these structure owners, what they do, from what I've learned over the days running to this election, is the fact that they are the ones that do the quick fix, get the people to come out in your campaign and vote for you. And at the end of the election, they decide who goes and who doesn't go. So, is it that in Anambra State we're having a situation where your thoughts of getting democracy right, getting the people to ask for their rights in terms of good governance, is being turned upside down because of interest?
I don't specifically share your view on this phenomenon. We have a problem in Nigeria. We have no political elite. We don't have political elite. The Igbo personalities that are successful are not in politics. They look, I told you, they don't understand government. If you have to understand government, know that government can make or destroy you, then you must take a precaution to make sure that no evil person gets in there. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the elites feel that politics is dirty. You might hear some people who don't understand will tell you that, oh, he's not a politician. What a naive answer. You are not a partisan politician. You have not joined the party. How do you recruit membership in the political parties? There's no recruitment going on. The people who are the bureaucratic heads of the political parties, from the grassroots to the national office, are not the prefects of the class. You must be prefect to mobilize people. You cannot bring an Okada rider and ask him to be the party ward chairman. These are things that if you don't get it right, politics is a, let me describe politics. Politics is a machinery of producing leaders and solving societal problems. Politics is not for the uninitiated. We do politics, we are mobilizing women, you sew uniform and they dance around. They don't even know what the issues are. So we must look at politics the way the West is practicing politics, starting from your constituency. What is the strength of each constituency? You have the ward system where the energy and power of the voting power are located. In that ward system, if you have 2 wards, 3 wards, and the rest of them, now what is of particular interest to that constituency? What do they need? What people do is they gather them in a place and address them, and they dance and they say they've done campaign. I don't want to criticize them because I'm still an elite. I am doing my own mobilization through activism, by going to court, challenging the system and policies of government. Because if you are an illiterate, you cannot understand governance. So we need to civic education for people to understand that it is your right to be a member of a political party. But the political party is not attractive because those people who are the heads of the political party are not the prefects of the class. So it's difficult to recruit. They are not recruiting anybody. How many people have you seen knocking at the door like the Jehovah's Witness? I don't mean to be derogatory. Asking you, I'm a member of the APP party. We are interested in talking to you about the party so that you can become a member. This is our leaflet, please. You tell him, no, you are not a politician. No, they have come to tell you about their party, the existence of the structure that protects you, that provides services, that will give you health care. All they do is gather people and dance.
But probably because that has been a tradition.
It's not the tradition. That is the misconception. Because we don't have political elite.
Now, Chief Okonkwo, let me ask this question. because you have continued to insist that we don't have the political elites, because those who are elite feel that politics is dirty. When you talk about politics in Anambra State, you've been there. When you talk about
I have been prefect. I've been prefect there. I have contested election from New Breed, organized party. That's where
I'm getting to. And then when you talk about challenging government policies in court, you've also done that. And you've also won. But the issue remains this. In Nigeria, it's easy for us to complain. It's easy for us to ask who will bail the cat. I would have expected that you would have formed maybe a cohort of like minds like yourself to begin to address that situation, not just in Anambra State, but you can start from your local area, so to speak, and then get people to begin to actually understand that we must, as a people, be involved in politics to bring enlightened people to governance.
Sir, I appreciate your thought process. Why did you invite me?
To talk about?
You invited me because I am qualified to sit here and talk about the political development from 1985 to today. How many people are economically disposed to think? Thinking is a hard business. For you to come and take position on issues, you must first of all look at your social standing and your economic viability. The economy, they have weaponized poverty, that a lot of people who should be in the room with me
and on the table
and talking to I am the first person in this country that intellectualized politics. I was going to the universities to talk to students, to deliver lectures, to tell them that I'm intellectually vibrant. Nobody did that. I did it in this country. I spent money to also do that. But the problem is that the people are handicapped. Most of the people within my age bracket their economy is eroded, and you're calling a man who has no tires in his vehicle. You are telling him, look, we must mobilize to go and talk to these students and the rest of them. And I told you, one of the basic weaknesses in the link of social development in Igbo community is that we believe that we can make it on our own. You don't need a group success. It's a serious setback. I have been doing what I'm doing. They see me in court. I spent quite a lot of money to go to court. They say, this man is still going to court. So it is an engagement that you must believe in. It's a philosophy. It's something that you need to enlist men and women who will share your views, there are people who are better than me, who are intellectually machine. They think faster than all this, but most of them need accommodation. They want to pay school fees for their children and the rest of them, and you are calling them for mobilization. They ask you, hey, this thing you're doing is very nice, but I wish there are more people like you.
So is there a way to fast track the process to create that political consciousness among Anambra people?
Baby, let me ask you, are you a member of the Girl Scout? Are you a member of the Girl Scout? All these sororities need to be resuscitated so that people can understand what it means to make sacrifice, to give out their time. Those in government have no idea what it takes to build a system. They think for you to work with them, you must be subservient. No. The machinery of building the society is corrupt until we come back and have men and women who can speak truth to power, and they are intellectually and economically viable. To challenge the system is not easy, because you lose your friends. So what I'm saying is that we need new men. We need men and women who are ready to make sacrifice. Majority of those who are within my age bracket are retiring. Some of them have no retirement benefit. They have no retirement program. And you are telling him to go and challenge the system. It's difficult. The political parties are inept. That would have been a platform to recruit bright minds and energize them so that they can sit and create the platform for leadership.
I guess most of the issues still boil down to that one word, leadership.
How do you? No, that is the basic problem. You're asking me to vote. Vote for who? It's just like going to seek employment. You must know the resume of the company you're going to apply, and you feel you have a future in that company. Americans used to say you gotta love a guy to work for him. But here, poverty have reduced people to nothingness. They don't think. They have no values. When you lose your value, your self-esteem is gone. I'm not a type of person that will come out and tell you, please, stand with me. Don't go and benefit from the system. No, I can survive alone. I will always create that path. If you like it, you come aboard and we share what I have and we continue. But it's difficult. When a man is following you, he can't pay his children's school fees and you are telling him, don't worry, let us continue fighting these people. And the people will call him and you lose your constituency. So we have a critical problem. Critical problem is that we have no political elite. We have job seekers, people who are looking for opportunity, work. If you want to run for governor of a state, what have you done in your constituency? What have you done to protect the rights of the people? They have done nothing. All they are telling you that the man gets money. Hey, the man can. When you're on a platform, the platform provides the funding for you to put across the program. Because it's the program of the party. I don't know what any of this party stands for. But they're always talking about people joining their party. So, nobody has ever approached me to come and join their party. Maybe I'm a bad product.
We are still talking about Anambra, the sites this morning, and it will run for a long time. We are with Ifeanyi Okonkwo. Ifeanyi Okonkwo. Ifeanyi Okonkwo, who is a politician and someone who is an activist too, looking at governance issues and other issues. But what the subject matter is for today is elections.
Yes.
And from information reaching us, voting has commenced at Community School Anambra in Oka South local government. As you're looking at your screen now, you are seeing the videos, and that tells you that voting is on. At least in this particular area, we don't have the situation of saying materials have not arrived, which is a normal slogan in Nigerian elections. So we'll just watch it a bit, and then we'll continue, because we're having a great and grand discussion.
Yes, we are.
So, Community School Anambra, Oka South, has taken the first shot, not all over, but from the videos we brought. It means something is happening already. And I recall that when we're starting this conversation, there was this talk about INEC making these tests for integrity tests to turn around all the bad vibes that go with elections in Nigeria. I like that smile. Is that a smile I smile? So, is it possible? Is it doable?
You know, we are people who are very religious, and we always mix religion with opportunities. Opportunities are gauged by the input, the ingredients that will make the system work. Because there's a new INEC chairman, without tell me anything that has been introduced apart from the 2022 electoral guideline or electoral law that have made everybody now to feel that, oh, the human material has changed. We now have new Nigerians, and the machines and inputs for running that election, there are new innovations have introduced. So I cannot share the view that INEC has changed. Logistic-wise, the people ought to know the only thing you see is the police bosses talking to us. No middle-level policemen have spoken. No DPO has talked about his constituency. So it's trickled down from up down. So I don't really understand the ways and means Nigeria government think, because I have never seen such a formula. The people who will conduct this election are not the commissioners from Abuja. I want to see the policemen that are going to man the precincts be interviewed, and you show us how you're doing this. And by the way, why should we shut down the entire community because we're voting? The innovation we have in our telephone technology have never been deployed anywhere, and every day you bring professor this, senior advocate this, and this and that. So we don't make demand on the system. The people who are in the National Assembly, before now, any constituency election that 50% of the voters do not participate ought to be cancelled. That is one way to warn those who are political actors, who are the careerists, that you need to come down and put your feet down and begin to knock on doors to make the people come out. So there's no consequence. So if the present governor of Anambra State is sitting there with 120,000 votes in a electoral strength of over 2 million, disaster.
I was just a little above 10% for 2021 election.
And nobody has done anything to make sure that the parties and the politicians can be punished for not making sure that people come out. If 10 people come, they declare you don't win. So I didn't see anything new.
Okay, since you didn't see anything new, probably you won't also see anything new about what I want to say, but I have an open mind. No, I love that. But what I want to say is this claim that 8 local governments can change the day in Anambra State. And one of those 8 local governments is Awka South. It's predicated on the fact that the 8 local governments alone will bring in, if everybody in those 8 local governments vote, will bring in about 1.4 million votes. And given the fact that we're talking about 2.8 total number of voters, that number can decide who becomes the next governor.
With humility, our intellectuals are lazy, very lazy. The number of registered voters is not contingent on the voting power. What is empirically that will motivate people to vote is, one, is there any contestant that has that particular parish as his constituency? Two, what is the government promise or the party's promise to each local government? Four, who are the political careerists that are the heads of the political parties in those 8 local governments? We use these numbers for manipulation. It's not an empirical intellectual display of what happens. I asked how many people are from these 8 local governments as per the political parties that are in the contest. We don't know the number of people who are members of any of the political parties. Who are the heads of these parties? Because they must have some persuasive personality to help the party. What did the governorship candidates promise them in their manifesto, which they have looked at and it is implementable to bring a voter turnout? Who are the people that will drive the vote in those places? Somebody sits down in his place and says, because there are 1,000 registered voters in all kinds of things. I don't want to fall into their category. They're intellectually lazy. They have to give me empirical ingredients how they arrive at that conclusion.
I think what they did was just pick out the number of votes in each. Probably two. It might
that
be
is what the politician used to use to manipulate and write results. The political strength of a party depends on the bureaucrats and the careerists. Who is anybody running from Oka South for any office? Is he a deputy? Is he head of the party? Also, because these are the things that will give you the vista of what the competition is all. And then you now come in and say, oh, because there are so number of people in this place, if they all come and vote, that they will carry the day. It is a probability, but it is the least of what will make the voters come. Because for a voter to come to vote, there's something driving him.
Yeah, let me just say, still on this, let me just say, probably, you know, the case that went to the Supreme Court, where the votes that was said were not counted in Imo State were awarded to one candidate alone. Probably that's why the analysis is going in that direction, that if all these people vote for Party A, then you are certain 1.4 million votes will, of course, change the tide from Anambra even becoming a state with low voter turnout to that.
You said the votes were awarded.
Yes.
By who?
By the court. so that's
people voted.
No, because you know the case.
No, I know the case, but what actually happened is not what the people are talking. I know that case very well. That Imo case, Imo State case.
Yes.
The critical thing in that case, if I may digress, was that there are two political parties, APC and AA party, that had one candidate. Rochas Okorocha wanted to hoist his son-in-law. He was the candidate of APC, not the Hope Uzodinma. And also one party called AA also. He went to court to restrain APC from removing him from running as governorship candidate of APC, while he's holding on to that other. December 20th, I think it was the year of that before the election. the Supreme Court gave judgment disqualifying a man holding two tickets. Now, the PDP candidate, because when you don't have, you must have the machinery upon which you are running an election, went home and they were sleeping. When the Hope Uzodinma came back as the candidate of APC, is it possible? But nobody challenged. PDP went to court and filed a preliminary objection. The court struck out their preliminary objection because if you're challenging jurisdiction on issue based on facts, you must come with evidence. And they went home. Then Hope came back as candidate of a party. That's all. So when people talk about how the Supreme Court ought not to have considered that
matter.
But the people, the court don't formulate issues. It's the people.
So now we have several issues we need to talk about concerning the Anambra elections. And one of them is security. Because if you need people to come out and vote, they'll be sure that their safety is guaranteed. And there's something you did say, that the top brass of the police is talking. But those who are closer to the assignment proper, nobody's hearing from them. So where would that assurance come from? Because when you go out to vote, if you are confident the police is there and will give you security and they are professionals doing their job, calming situations down and all that, you feel secure, you feel safe. So why is it that engagement does not include the middle level and the low level also engaging with the people?
Why are we always talking about security during election? Is a fundamental issue.
Because it's a fact in Nigeria.
Because of the type of politics we play. Toggery. There are no, apart from all these people agitation that are now what you call the non-state actors. Security has been a major issue in election in Nigeria because of Toggery. Because people will not allow you to go and exercise your franchise. That was why Humphrey Nwosu was so successful in the system of not using the ballot paper, but for you to stand behind whoever you. At the end of the day, people might go home and start fighting. I saw you in the other line. Because the critical element of electoral education has not been understood by people. Election is not war. The problem is the way we have introduced election is what has brought this unstable society. One, the police were also instrument of election rigging in this country. Two, thugs who disrupt elections are never punished. I saw a commissioner who came from Lagos, from Abuja, saying that he's in charge of the election, that everything is going on well. Now, the only person that can interrogate such statements are the trained journalists, the fourth estate of the ring. They are economically handicapped. They can't do the job. Now, you talk about making the voters to come. Most of the time, what stops voters from coming is not the threat of violence. It's the threat that the people who should stop violence will not do anything. People will be there giving money to people to go and vote, and you complain, the policeman will tell you he's not there for anything. And then the political careerists, who are members of the party, are not up and doing. So you go there, there's a threat, and you say, look, the best thing to do is not to go at all. So if the people, the citizens are mobilized and persuaded, and they understand why they must come and vote, this issue of police and all these impediments of movement and the rest of them, and if we introduce technology, so things will have to change. Voting exercise is something that will be enthusiastically pursued by the communities, the way I look at it. But we have not really looked at the chemistry to solving problems other than the number of pickup trucks and machine gun and the rest of them. We don't need all these things.